As many of you know, I share my property with some animals. I've mentioned before that I've got animals on my property. So for instance, famously, I've got the groundhog, right? And there's in fact a little homage to the groundhog. And I've got deer, and I've got all kinds of stuff. I've got possums, I've got raccoons, and I've mentioned before that I've got coyotes. And now the interesting thing is that the coyotes have popped up on occasion on my cameras. So I'll be looking at my cameras and, oh, hey, check it out. I got the coyote. And now I never knew for a fact whether I had one coyote or several coyotes, but as you can imagine, if there's one, there's probably more. And then one day on a camera, I got a photograph of two coyotes. So I'm like, okay, there's at least two. Interestingly, though, the coyotes tend to have a very, very low profile. Contrary to anything you've seen in the cartoons, coyotes are hard to spot. You don't see them. And a lot of animals are largely nocturnal. So when I saw the possum a while back walking across my driveway in the middle of the afternoon, I thought, okay, something might be wrong here because possums tend to come out at night. Same with raccoons. And in fact, I've never seen a raccoon with my own eyes on my property, except that I've seen their footprints everywhere. And I know they're out there. Again, cameras pick them up and so on. But the coyote made an appearance the other day on Saturday. On Saturday, I was standing there looking out my window and something caught my eye. And I look, and there's a coyote just trotting across my backyard. Just trotting along. And I had my camera, my phone in my hands, very quickly pulled it out, got a picture, and then I shot a little video of him as he trotted by. And I'm like, wow. Now, here's the thing. Middle of the day, very unusual. Coyotes tend to be nocturnal creatures. And I can tell you some great stories about coyotes, but I thought, oh, that's bizarre. But that was, no question, that was a coyote. It was not a neighborhood dog. It was a coyote. And I'm sending this picture to all kinds of people, and then I posted it on Facebook too. And all of a sudden, I see him coming back. And now he's just trotting across the middle of the yard, going the other direction. So he went this way. Now he's going this way. And at one point, he stopped and actually paused and gave me a great profile shot. I'll put photographs up so you know I'm not making this stuff up. But I got a couple of great photographs of him or her posing. Just, okay, and then trots off. So interestingly, I thought, okay, now I've seen the coyote, at least one of them, and I know they're around. But the weird part is that I never hear them. Right? And I mentioned before I used to live in a little town called Eau Claire. When I lived in Eau Claire, I had a dog named Wolfie. Wolfie was a Shetland sheepdog, and he was getting quite old, and he'd lost his hearing for the most part. He was very, very hard of hearing. And as he got older, he also had trouble making it all the way through the night without going outside. But, hey, I understand these things. So occasionally, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, he'd come over and he'd nose me to wake me up, and I'd get up, put something on, weather appropriate, and we'd walk around the block. And the craziest thing was that at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, you'd hear howling. It was coyotes. But there were two packs of coyotes distinctly, one on one side of town and one on the other side of town. And you'd hear one pack make a bunch of noise and go quiet. The other pack make a bunch of noise and go quiet. And I'm assuming that if there was a coyote expert in the room, they'd say, yes, they're territorial. And one of the ways they mark their territory is through their calls that they make, okay? And they probably make calls for other reasons, like dating and so on. But I remember walking Wolfie, and Wolfie wasn't hearing it. And I remember at the time going, I'm so glad. Because I was walking a dog that started howling back at the coyotes at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. My neighbors wouldn't have been so kind about that. But I remember at the time going, wow, it's by the way, it's eerie. It's eerie when you hear coyotes, when they're howling away like that. So, interestingly, I've known there are coyotes near around my property, and I've seen their footprints, I've seen photographs of them, and now I've seen one with my own eyes, okay? Wouldn't you know it, that coyotes now making noise at night, and I don't know why this is happening now as opposed to, like, say, 6 months ago or a year ago. Because someone's going to go, but Steve, if you look it up, and by the way, I did, right about now is where they're starting to look for members of the opposite sex that they love very, very much, and they want to start a family, okay? I understand that. But last year, none of this, as far as I can tell. So I suspect that what's happened is a couple coyotes got together, do whatever coyotes do, And then next thing you know, there's more coyotes. And as those coyotes grow up and decide they've got to get their own territory, their own pack, or maybe their own family, they spread out. And so occasionally the coyotes have got to move around, and they might be here, and their kids might be here, right? And so eventually, it very well could be that the coyote that I saw has kind of moved over from someplace else and is now calling this place home. And by the way, I've got no problem with that. I have no problem with it, except a couple times I've been watching TV and I hear some weird noises. I'm like, is that coming from the TV? Hang on. I mute the TV, and sure enough, out in the yard, I hear coyotes squawking back and forth. And I can't imitate it. I can't do it for you, but it's a really, really weird sound that the coyotes make. It's a howling, wailing sound. It's not quite what wolves do. And like I said before, it's eerie. Like when I was hearing it in Eau Claire, it was actually kind of freaky to hear it. But be that as it may, so I was watching TV the other night. Sure enough, I hear this noise. I mute the TV, and I walk around the house to figure out which way it's coming from. And it's coming from, there's some very, very dense brush / swamp land that's over a little bit off my property to one direction. It's coming from over there. I'm like, okay. I know where they are. They're making the noise over there. 2 nights ago, middle of the night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I get woken up. Coyote sounds again. A lot of vocalization going on. Same direction. And it's 2, maybe 3. Because if you listen for a while, you can kind of pick out the different voices. You don't know what they're saying, although I think they are talking about me. But you can tell it's 2 or 3 different coyotes making these noises. And so I'm like, okay. I looked it up. Like I said, and it says, this is the time of year, in Michigan at least, that coyotes would be, dating. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe this will end. They'll all find their mates and they'll go on and do whatever they do. This morning at about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, I heard the coyotes making their noises, and they were literally so loud that I'd have to guess they're within 50 feet of my house. So I actually got up and went and looked out the windows, but there's bushes, and I didn't see them, but I could hear them. And they were really, really close to the house. Again, I'm not scared of them. I'm not worried about them. I don't have any pets, cats or dogs or anything like that, so I'm not worried about that. Now, I know some neighbors who've got cats and dogs, but they're a good distance away. And I've mentioned to them, by the way, just to let you know, I've seen coyotes. Just to let you know that. I've told them that. But I've mentioned also before that my property is overrun with wildlife, such as rabbits. And there are periods of time in the spring and summer where there are just rabbits everywhere. And I've been mowing my lawn before and come across 2 or 3 occupied rabbit nests. And I go around them and I leave them alone and I watch them. And sure enough, the mom comes by and takes care of the kids and heads back out. And a little while later on, you see these little tiny rabbits. They're very, very cute. But as you can imagine, as Bugs Bunny pointed out, rabbits are really good at multiplying. If there was nothing to check them, they would eventually overrun us all like tribbles, okay? So the population of the rabbits goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. I suspect that's what's causing it to go down is both coyotes, foxes, because I got foxes also, and then also I suspect hawks. I've got red-tailed hawks all over the place. In fact, I saw a bald eagle over my property about 2 weeks ago, but that's not as common. So I suspect the coyotes are going, hey, it's good eating. It's rabbit country. And I suspect it's going on. And I know some people are going to go, Steve, that's horrible. Well, that's what nature does. And short of me going out and putting out coyote chow for the coyotes, they got to eat something. And like I said, these things keep themselves in balance that way. And so if ever the supply of rabbits dries up, the coyotes will move on. But while there's a lot of that food around, the buffet, they're going to stick around. So I'm not complaining about any aspect of this except for the fact that 3 nights in a row now, once before I went to bed and twice after I was asleep, the coyotes are out there causing a racket, debating some coyote things. I don't know what they're debating. I have no idea. I just hope it stops soon. I just hope it stops. So if I ever look tired in a video, because I often shoot my videos in the morning. In fact, it's usually the morning when I shoot my videos. Right now, it's actually noonish, but I shot a video this morning at like 7:30. And so oftentimes I get up in the morning, one of the first things I do is shoot a video. So if I look tired in a video recently, it's a good chance that Wild E was keeping me up because he was serenading a female counterpart someplace back there in the brush. So that's the story of the Coyotes. I'll keep you updated. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.